In this video, I'm working with just one athlete and we're looking at the clean, which is a really vital component of the Olympic lifts. This athlete is a hockey player with no previous Olympic lifting experience or weightlifting experience, and he's only trained in the gym in a recreational way. This session was meant as an introduction to the clean, and I didn't really have any intention for the athlete to move on to using any meaningful weight. As you can see, we've only got a training bar plus an Olympic bar for a little bit of extra practice. A lot of my overall coaching experience comes from the hockey pitch. I've worked with ages 5 years old all the way up to 70 plus, and the playing levels have ranged from beginners to internationals. I've been quite lucky and quite fortunate to have had exposure to some of the best hockey coaches in the country, and I've learned a lot about myself and my coaching practices as a result. One of my major flaws, particularly in the earlier stages of my coaching career, but it definitely still creeps up on me now, is that I can talk too much. My desire for those that I was coaching and those I'm still coaching now was for them to understand whichever skill or exercise or situation they're currently being taught or taught about, for them to understand it as well as possible. And out of those good intentions, players would often just zone out and lose focus because they were just bombarded with so much information. Over time, I've learnt to only give a few points and try to be precise in the information that's given to these athletes. Now, looking back to this coaching session, the clean can be made quite complicated. When you think of the 3 phases the athlete needs to go through to get the bar into the catch position, there's a lot involved. For this session, let's pretend we're working towards a clean and jerk. It's important to add here that I don't have a huge amount of experience teaching this lift. I'd like to think that I have a reasonable understanding of the technical model, but to translate that knowledge into the coaching process is challenging, as you can imagine. So take a quick moment here to watch my coaching process with this athlete. Yeah? So that's good. So the key there is we need to push our knees back.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to end up in this position. So if the bar starts there, as our knees go back, the bar follows.
Yeah.
So if you think on a curve, imagine this is a curve and the bar starts here and your head's here and your body's over there. The bar should eventually do this. This is quite straight. The bar should do this. It should go in an S shape. So this is where we come up. Now, I've paused the video here just so you can appreciate what's going on. I'm essentially talking to the athlete about this picture here, describing the movement of the bar compared to the vertical line. This should be easily comprehensible for us, but for the athlete, this information is just unnecessary and could potentially hinder the learning process and his progress of the lift. This is where it goes into our knees. And this is basically our pelvis here, and from there it has to go out.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we go back into this, we have a little longer rest. When we go back into this, okay, I want those knees pushed back. So that the cue for you to know whether you've done it right is whether you feel that big stretch in your hands.
Right, perfect.
Yeah. And once we've done that bit, then we will start from the 3rd phase and use the 2nd phase as well, which you've kind of already done anyway. As you will have seen, I've given the athlete a lot of information to process. This is over a minute of continuous talking without ever really giving the athlete a chance to ask questions or even simply to have some time to try and process what he's just been told. When coaching hockey, it's my experience that tells me when and what information to give for each situation. And I've encountered most of those situations thousands of times before. I think here, my lack of experience with the Olympic lifts means I ended up overcomplicating the coaching and learning process. I definitely need to be aware of the amount of information I'm giving to the athlete and should very much encourage a more intrinsic learning process. Sometimes athletes just need to figure things out for themselves. I'm sure that more experience of coaching these lifts will be a big help in fixing this particular issue.